Welcome to the deep dive. We take material you're curious about, and we really pull out the key insights for you.
That's the goal. Quick but deep understanding.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something, well, deeply personal. It's excerpts from Matthew Perry's memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing.
A very revealing title in itself.
It really is. So you're looking to get the knowledge quickly, get the full picture. Our mission here is to understand the just immense medical crisis Perry faced, some really surprising details around it, and the themes of resilience and support that kind of emerge.
And memoirs dealing with health crises, especially addiction alongside it, they bring a unique kind of vulnerability, don't they? It's inherently honest, or strives to be.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was honestly floored by the intensity right from the prologue. Day 7 of the pain, day 10 of no movement. It's hard to even, wrap your head around that.
It is, and he immediately sets the stage for just how extreme this was, calling it the platonic ideal of pain, dismissing childbirth as even comparable. That's quite a statement.
It really is. He's setting this incredibly high, frankly, alarming benchmark for what he was going through.
And the description of the sounds he was making.
Oh, that part. Like coyotes ripping apart something that is howling. I mean, that's so visceral, so disturbing.
It really conveys the sheer agony, doesn't it? The complete loss of control.
Absolutely. And he's in this sober living house, Southern California, 49 years old.
Yeah.
You get this sense of the ongoing struggle,
Yeah.
being in that kind of facility at his age.
Well, yeah, and that's a crucial layer here. He knows addiction inside and out, calls himself a professional patient almost.
Right.
But this physical thing is overwhelming him while he's still fighting those other battles. The fear of being alone, the constant mental struggle, it's all there.
It's quite a juxtaposition because he mentions the good things, supposedly. Julia Roberts, the dream house, the money.
All the external markers of success.
Exactly. And he realizes, or maybe he already knew deep down, that none of that was the answer. Which, for you listening, really drives home that point, doesn't it? External success doesn't just magically fix everything inside.
No, it definitely dismantles that myth. His honesty about still feeling that pull despite everything he'd achieved, it's powerful. Shows how complex these struggles are.
So then the pain gets even worse. So bad he stops smoking, which, for him, that's huge. That tells you something is seriously, seriously wrong.
A massive red flag, given his history.
And the response he gets from this staff member he calls Nurse Fuckface, suggesting an Epsom salts bath.
It's almost comical if it weren't so dangerous. The disconnect is staggering.
It really is. His frustration just leaps off the page. And it makes you think, doesn't it, about how quickly people can be dismissed, maybe because of preconceived notions about addiction.
Absolutely. That potential for bias, underestimating a patient's reported pain, especially with that history. It's a really stark illustration here.
But then Aaron steps in, his assistant, his friend. Her intervention feels absolutely critical.
It seems like it was, her recognizing the severity.
Yeah, he says, if Aaron thought it was hospital bad, it was hospital bad. That speaks volumes about their connection, her understanding him.
And her just asking that direct question, do you want to go to the hospital? Sometimes that's all it takes.
A pivotal moment, definitely. And you already see how vital that support system is going to be, her just refusing to be brushed off.
It really underscores how important it is to have an advocate, someone who knows you, who can speak for you when you maybe can't fully speak for yourself. Her intuition, her action probably changed everything.
So the escape attempt, it sounds like something out of a movie almost. Aaron's trying to help him out in the bath.
Which he couldn't even do himself at that point.
Right. And this counselor, Catherine, immediately accuses him of drug-seeking behavior, despite the obvious agony.
It's disturbing, isn't it? How quickly that judgment comes. Again, the bias is just right there.
And then the head counselor, Charles, tries to physically stop them leaving. It's actually hard to believe.
It really paints a picture of the obstacles people can face, even when trying to access emergency care, especially if there's a history that makes others suspicious. It's deeply concerning.
And all this time, Perry's just screaming in pain. They somehow push past them, get to the parking lot.
That image he uses of the son looking down with scorn.
Yeah, that really hit me. Such a feeling of isolation, despair, like the whole world is indifferent. Or worse.
Captures the emotional weight perfectly.
Aaron's quick thinking, again, calling the hospital, saying high-profile patient to, make sure they pay attention, but also trying to protect his privacy, even then.
Remarkable presence of mind under that kind of pressure, balancing urgency with trying to shield him in that vulnerable state. Shows real care.
Then they get to the hospital. He's clearly delirious, talking about ping pong balls on the couch.
Yeah, that little detail really shows how far gone he was, mentally and physically, just completely overwhelmed.
And that conversation in the car. Aaron asking about the fastest route versus avoiding potholes.
And his response,
Just get there, woman. You feel the absolute desperation, the life or death urgency in that.
definitely.
And then Charles and Catherine actually blocking the car, Aaron having to drive up onto a curb.
It's almost surreal. It just emphasizes how determined Aaron had to be to overcome these, frankly, misguided attempts to stop them getting help.
Yeah, her determination really stands out. For you listening, it's a lesson, right? Trust your gut, advocate fiercely when someone's health is on the line.
Absolutely.
So then he loses consciousness. A 10 on the pain scale, he says, is just blacking out. And the story shifts then.
Right. He has to rely on others to tell him what happened next. It becomes, as you said earlier, almost a biography of his coma.
A powerful way to frame it, yeah. Because he wasn't there consciously for the most critical part.
And it underscores just how severe it was, seen through their eyes.
The list of what went wrong. It's terrifying. Aspirating vomit into his lungs.
Leading to pneumonia.
And then his colon exploding. He makes that dark joke later about being full of it.
Literally. Grim humor, yeah.
But the reality...
The reality was that statistic they gave his family, a 2% chance of making it through the night. Just 2%.
That's staggering. It really brings home how close he was to not making it. The absolute magnitude of the crisis.
And then the scramble for an ECMO machine, which is basically an external heart and lung machine, right? For when your own organs just completely fail.
Exactly. A last resort, high-level life support, shows how critical things were.
And the difficulty getting one. Turned down by Cedars-Sinai, turned down by UCLA initially, before UCLA finally agrees to send a machine and a team.
That detail is telling. It wasn't just a standard procedure. His needs were so severe, so specific, that even major hospitals hesitated or couldn't immediately accommodate him.
So he gets transferred to UCLA's heart and lung ICU, spends 6 weeks there, in a coma. Just gone to the world.
But not alone. He mentions his family, his friends were constantly there.
Right, by his side the whole time, even when he couldn't possibly have known. That speaks volumes, doesn't it? About the support network, the love surrounding him, even in that unconscious state, that human connection, it's just vital.
So he finally wakes up,
Yeah.
regains consciousness, and the first exchange with his mother. What's going on? Where the hell am I?
And her telling him his colon exploded.
And he just rolls his eyes and goes back to sleep. Even then,
Yep.
you know, that flash of his humor.
It's incredible. But he admits later he didn't want to know the full story at first. He was afraid.
Afraid it was somehow his fault. That self-blame.
Which is a common reaction to trauma, that denial, a self-protection mechanism. And again, he leans heavily on his sisters, on Aaron, during that initial waking period.
That support system, just constantly there. Then his sister Maria finally tells him the whole truth.
And the dam breaks.
Yeah. Oh, boy, did I cry, he says. That moment of confronting the sheer scale of what he'd survived and wrestling with that question. Why me? Why did I survive?
It's a profound question. Trying to find meaning after facing death like that, it's a very human response.
And the recovery. It sounds like such a slog. The colostomy bag, this fistula they couldn't find for ages.
The frustration must have been immense.
And not being able to eat or drink for a month.
Yeah.
Dreaming of Diet Coke and Diet Sprite.
It just highlights the basic things we take for granted and the psychological toll when those are denied, plus the sheer physical drain of it all.
But they eventually find and fix the fistula. He starts the slow process of learning to walk again. These huge milestones.
Absolutely. Each step forward is a victory after something like that.
And, classic Matthew Perry moment, noticing he's attracted to his therapist and taking it as a sign he's getting better.
Yeah, a bit of levity there. Maybe a sign of his old self returning.
And he stresses it again.
Yeah.
Through that whole 5 months in the hospital, never left alone, not once.
That constant presence, it must have made an immeasurable difference.
So he's finally released, 5 months later, facing another surgery down the line. Here's this incredible, harrowing story when you lay it all out.
It really is. A vivid picture of hitting rock bottom, medically speaking, and the long, hard climb back, supported by others.
Looking back on just these excerpts, the resilience is astounding. What he physically and mentally endured,
Yeah.
it's a powerful example of human strength.
Absolutely. And I think for you listening, there are some really clear takeaways here. First, The crucial importance of advocacy, Aaron's role was undeniable.
I feel like.
Second, just the unpredictable, devastating nature of severe illness, how it impacts everyone involved. And third, the profound power of human connection. That support system was clearly fundamental to his survival and his recovery.
Yeah. For you, listener, always looking for that deeper understanding, this story offers so much. It's about the fragility of life, the complex link between addiction and physical health, and just how vital connection is.
Yeah,
Hearing it laid out so personally, so detailed, it gives you a really unique insight.
it really does.
And, if you want to go even deeper, hear the full story in his own voice, which adds another whole layer. The audiobook link is right there in the description for you. It's quite something to hear him narrate it.
It truly is. And perhaps this deep dive leaves us with a final thought. How often are people around us fighting battles we can't see? And maybe, how important is it to trust our instincts about our own health and about the well-being of the people we care about? What other stories, told with this kind of honesty, hold similar lessons we haven't yet uncovered?